just aware of different things that she wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. And so that was a moment I was like, when my husband and I think about what's important, we want our kids to know Jesus, and we want them to know that they identify with the Lord. They don't identify with a school. They don't identify with a team. They don't identify with friends. They identify with Jesus, and that everything else will come with it. And I was actually listening to one of your interviews that you had done. Was it Tom Worley? It was someone, and he said something
Kyle
along the
Worley.
line of, yes. And he was like, how do you teach your kids to identify with Jesus? And it's like, first, you identify with Jesus, and then then you identify with your community. And I love that visual, because if I have a strong biblical foundation of truth, then everything else around me is going to be a lot easier to navigate. And so I finally just turned my brain off and had to just open my heart up and soften my heart to what God wants me to do at this school and what is our family plan. And it was really difficult because I felt like the easy way out would be private school. And there are so many experiences that you get in a private school you don't get in a public school. And there is resources and things that are available that are, that public schools will never have. But when I also think about, I really would love for my daughter and all three of my kids to be able to go on after they leave our nest and be able to speak truth about Jesus confidently. And I know that they're at least getting the practice now because they have more opportunities to speak the gospel in our school and to serve others. And I think too, my daughter's less anxious when she becomes less selfish, when she's putting her eyes towards other people. And when I'm putting my eyes towards other people, and it's not, what do I want? What do I want? Am I not happy? Am I not happy? What's going on with me? And I started shifting my focus from me, I'm not happy, to wait, which kids in this room aren't happy? And what can I do? The whole year changed. And I've been able to start this year. I feel like being able, less selfish, and more intentional about, how God wants me to use me each day. So going back to your question on, how do you decide and how do you navigate, which schools to go to? I think you have to think about, the purpose of school is to learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's the purpose of school. That's why your child goes to school, to have the tools and the skills that they need to continue to be successful, independent, whatever that looks like for you. And, as a family, our core is Jesus, and we can navigate that with being very grounded in our church. And we have our church community, and we have our wonderful children's ministry, and we have church friends. And what's so beautiful about it is that when we were looking for a church a couple of years ago, we wanted a church within our community. And we tried out this one church, and my husband was like, it's too big, it's too big, it's too big. The whole conversation, which church is right for you? And every church is right. But when we walked into that church, we saw shirts everywhere with our mascot, our high school, our school, our community. And it was such a profound moment. And the woman that had just texted me to help me with a student at that thing was walking through the door, and our kids were in Sunday school together. And her husband was the Sunday school teacher. And it was just, oh my gosh, it was so powerful. And we joined right away. And it's been just such a beautiful moment to just not only be able to serve within my school, but then also see some of the same families in my church. And so I think, when you're trying to navigate, into private school, into public school, for us, private school wasn't really an option, but it's not something we had financially planned for. And I guess we're maybe a little too naive to think that, we would be unhappy at a public school. But once we kind of face those challenges last year at our neighborhood school, we had to just shift our focus into, okay, where are our kids at? Are they learning? Are they growing? Are they thriving? Mm-hmm. And their faith was only being more secured the more time they were spending there and being exposed to all the different families and things that happens at a public school.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that insight, because I think parents do worry about that. It was are they not getting that extra element of faith at a public school? And no, they're not. I talk about all the time on this podcast that faith happens at home, and church is a bonus. Your community is essential, but church is a bonus for learning about the gospel. It happens at home primarily. That is just what the research tells you. And So, yes, school is great if you can go to a Christian private school and get that extra bonus, and you have 2 bonuses, that's cool, but it's not gonna be the end all be all for your kids. Like, what they learn at home and in their church community is where they're gonna learn their faith, and then they get to go exercise it at school, and that's really cool.